They called it a horror film. Critics called it a revolution. Filmmakers called it a wake up call, shot on a cheap camera, starring no named actor, and yet it made the end of the world feel real. No rotting corpses clawing at doors, no graveyards, no classic zombie tropes, just silence. And then chaos. In 28 days later, didn't just bring zombies back to life, it infected the entire horror genre with something new, fear that felt real. I see, you're making some views from this since recently 28 years later, huh? Yes, I do agree on that part. But this is a new playlist that I'm working on. That is 28 days later. We didn't just follow the zombie book rules because it tore it up. They weren't some undead corpses. They weren't even slow. They weren't even zombies. Not technically. They were infected, driven by rage, blood, and a virus. So fast that it spreads in seconds. Not minutes, seconds. And they could run. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland didn't want monsters. They wanted a mirror, a reflection of what we become when a thin layer of society is peeled back. And they shot it with a digital camcorder, Canon XL1. Wait, are you talking about gear and items now? Every film does have, man. What's special with this movie? Just because you chose it to make a video? You know, you need to learn to have patience. The grainy digital look wasn't a gimmick, it was intentional. It gave 28 days later the feel of a found footage. Before found footage blew up, it felt like news footage, like it was really happening. For all the rage, chaos, 28 days later has quiet moments, human moments. It isn't about the outbreak, it's about what survives after the outbreak: grief, trust, hope. Killian Murphy's Jim isn't a hero, he's a question. A man waking up in a dead world, trying to remember why it's worth living. And sometimes it's not. That's what make it hit harder. You may not realize it, but if you have seen Train to Busan, World War Z, or even The Last of Us, you have seen the DNA of 28 days later. The Walking Dead literally opens with the same beat. Waking up in a hospital, alone, to a world in ruins. 28 days later, changed what horror looked like. It made human, dirty, uncomfortable. You don't need makeup and gore, just an empty street and silence. And that's the thing, it wasn't just about what you saw, it was about how you saw it. The quiet dread, the raw realism, it came from choices most big studios would have never dared. Shooting on a cheap digital camera, guerrilla style in the middle of London, real locations, no gloss. Sounds like they were just broke, maybe, but sometimes limitations become style. 28 days later, didn't try to look cinematic. It looked real, and that made it terrifying. That choice to abandon polish and embrace grit would ripple out far beyond horror. It taught filmmakers that tension didn't need $100 million budget, just the right tone, right pacing, and the right silence. It cracked open a new visual language, one where apocalypse felt lived in, not staged. And there's the sound, or the lack of it. 28 days later, plays with silence the way others plays with scores. It let the world breathe, so when the rage hits, it explodes. And when it doesn't, when you are left with just footsteps, wind, and distant echoes, that's when it gets under your skin. You keep saying rage like it's a monster because it is. 28 days later wasn't just about infection. Well, you all are infected. You know, You are infected of not liking the video if you like it and find helpful and not subscribing the channel. Do it, man. Thanks. That was good. Well, let's continue. 28 days later wasn't just about infection. It was about what anger does to a person, a society, a world. The infected weren't zombies. They were us, stripped of control. And suddenly, post apocalyptic stories weren't about survival, they were about morality, desperation, fear of each other. From the military base in 28 days later to human threats in The Last of Us, the enemy changed. And that swift that started here. 28 days later came quietly. No franchise hype, no stars, just a filmmaker with a vision and a story that felt disturbingly possible. It opened the door for grounded horror and emotionally driven chaos. And yeah, it kind of saved the zombie genre in the process. Because right when the undead were dead in the waters, this film reanimated the fear. Not with rotting bodies, but with the terror of rage itself. And now we get to see the mix of many things and an incomplete film like 28 years later. I have reviewed it. You can check it out. Thanks for watching. This is Visio.